Welcome to the Friendly Fire Show.
Episode 130.
For the 30th of January 2017, I'm Steve from Stevivor.
I'm Shane from Stevivor.
And I'm Tano from Phoenix Bazaar. And Shane,
Yes.
you were very Ben-like in that intro.
I didn't mean to be. Did it? Well, maybe
Sure.
I was channeling.
Well,
Sure.
Oh, it wasn't
You had to
intentional.
mean to be because he's not here, so you had to bet it
I've
out.
heard it 129 times. If I'm gonna fill the role and do it, I might accidentally do it like Ben.
So Ben's not here, so apparently we're not going to be funny at all.
Well,
If you
we've
would
done
believe
this before, we just really
him.
have to lift our game.
No,
I think we can make up for the comedy of errors.
I'm putting it on you.
we
Oh,
we
gosh.
never say those three words in that order on this podcast.
Comedy of errors.
Lift, game, and your in a different order. But anyway, let's move right along, shall we? He gets it.
Oh, I got it. I refused.
This is
to
lame. Okay, fine. Do we start with the Switch? We're talking about two big
Yeah.
things today, maybe
So we haven't
four.
spoken about that, have we? No.
We did before we
'Cause
went.
we spoke, that's right, that's right.
Not after we went.
And we are looking out over this place where we did it, aren't we?
Yes.
We're looking at PAX Oz when it's there, but it's not there right
Yeah.
now. No one else cares.
Memories.
So we in Melbourne, they did a Nintendo Switch hands-on event with press and with industry
Community
people
and-
and with fans, and it was great. We went. Actually, Shane went before us. He went the morning session on whichever day we went, and we went in the afternoon.
We were in the important session.
Something like that. I doubt it. And then it went on for a while. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We saw the Switch in its various configurations. We saw Zelda, Splatoon, Mario Kart, ARMS, Bomberman, Street Fighter, Snipper Clips,
1-2 Switch,
1-2 Switch.
milking a cow,
Sonic.
eye
Just Dance
contact.
2017,
No. What was it? Has Been Heroes.
Has Been
Yeah.
Heroes. And that's,
Um,
I think that's
Something
it.
else. 5, Prisoner 5, whatever that.
Oh,
thing
yeah,
is,
no, I just walked straight
tactical
past those
RPG.
ones.
That looks interesting for not Steve, but I don't know.
I'm just not. Jeez, the energy level in here is so high.
Just
Let's
like
talk about the
I'm
Switch first.
Yeah, I mean,
Let's pause, slap ourselves about the face a couple times, wake up, and then start.
My name is Shane, and it's been one podcast since I had a beer. This is the sober cast. Can you tell? Go on.
okay, so
So the Switch was expensive, but what did we actually think of it without thinking?
well,
about
that
the
is a
price?
totally different debate. We've already spoken
Yeah,
about
that's
the
what.
price.
Let's bypass the price. Let's talk about the Switch.
Yes. Okay. So the hardware itself is, I think, really impressive. I think it looks really good. I like the grip controller. I love when it's in its portable state. There's nothing that kind of, even the Joy-Cons, which I guess are kind of really small and really cramped, and tabletop gaming with Mario Kart is kind of hit and miss. But I still think that it's got a bit of value and it can be really cool. And the only problem is that there were just no games. So, I mean, it's kind of hard to get excited about this really cool piece of hardware that is not particularly powerful, but Nintendo's never really cared about the spec war anyway, so that's to be expected. We don't know anything about the online service, so, I mean, all these things that we kind of learnt about the console at this event kind of made me walk away being even more unsure about it than I was after the presentation, which has never really happened. Well,
Yeah.
which is really, it's never happened with any console I've seen. Like, even the Wii U,
I don't know.
PS4, the Xbox One, you went there
when
thinking...
they announced the Wii U, people still now don't realise that the Wii U isn't an add-on for the...
I think
were we talking last week about the wording for when they announced it? And was it you were there and
Yeah.
you were like, what does
Yeah.
that mean?
Yeah, because they said, Wii is about all of us, but this console's about you, Wii U. So, yeah, I mean, the marketing was off point, but everyone
All of
was...
us, you.
Everyone
All
was
of it's
excited
Well,
about...
this time they just snapped their fingers a bunch of times.
I mean, the idea was that, you could play Call of Duty Black Ops 2 on a tablet. Like, that was cool, and people were getting excited about that, and that was really interesting. But this now, I guess the gimmicks kind of worn off a bit, and the hardware looks better, obviously. The output... No, well, to a degree. It's not as exciting as it used to be. But this, I guess, is a more dedicated portable device, but it's not a portable device, it's a console.
It's a portable home console. I think you went through like from A to Z of like everything, which was great. We probably need to like go and talk about controllers and stuff. But since we're on this general tangent, that's how we've had 2 weeks or something now to think about it, and it's not a hybrid, handheld, portable home console, amazing 2-in-1 thing. It's a home console that you'll treat like your laptop. Like, you can take it around rooms of your house quite easily. When you want to take it outside the house, it's okay for a little while, but more than likely you're just going to need to like bring a power cable with you and connect it to a wall if you're going to use it outside of your house, and that's a bit of a pain in the ass. You don't want to do that. Does that kind of make sense?
I
think it's really the same as the 3DS though in that respect. Like, I don't see how it's any different.
3DS can get probably twice as much battery depending on how you have
got
the
same battery
settings.
No, it's the 3DS's battery is like
4 hours, maybe.
I think it's 3 to 7 hours is its battery, and the Switch's battery is 2.5 to 6 hours. And I played my 3DS on the way back from Hawaii recently with like every single setting turned all the way down playing Pokemon Sun, and I got, I think, 11 hours out of it. Like, that's just what they have to say. Like,
Did you have... So when you weren't using it and you were like in the airport and you had your 3DS closed in your bag, were you street passing the entire time?
yeah.
Well, can't do that.
When I got on, well, yeah, but
No, like,
that
there's
would
all
mean
these
it
things.
would just be off, and I'd be saving even more battery and getting
Well,
more
yeah,
out of it.
but so that's the thing. Like, this, people are kind of treating it like it's a 3DS, but like it goes in your bag.
No, but
you're
I
gonna
mean
have to
just
put a
for-
protector
just
on it or in a
for
case.
battery life or whatever.
Yeah,
like,
but I think the way that you treat your 3DS goes more than just battery. Like, I think it's this fun street passing thing. You slam it closed in your bag, you put it in there, you don't have to worry about it. Like, this thing is a really nice piece of thin hardware. If you don't put a case, if you don't buy a case, if you don't buy a screen protector, if you don't think about how the Joy-Cons are going in your bag. Like, I've put an Xbox controller in my bag and I've wrecked the joysticks because the joysticks are like hitting against things in my bag, and eventually it just kind of like breaks them out of,
everything
whack.
that you're saying, for me personally, though, is like you're describing exactly how I've always had a case for my 3DS. I've always had like all that shit that you just said. I've always had protectors or cases or things so I can take games and stuff around. Like,
Yeah.
which again, like, as another thing that it's only got 32 gig of internal memory, which some of it is already used. I switched to digital stuff maybe 3. I remember saying, no, I'm going all digital on this podcast, and everyone's like, no.
No, it wouldn't have been me. It would have
Well,
been Ben.
it was
I liked
everyone.
it. I liked it.
Because it wasn't there yet, and we've all changed our minds about it. But I was at the time, I was like, no, I'm not doing it. And this time, I'm going the other way with the Switch because I'm not spending a ridiculous amount of money on micro SD cards. And not only that, I just traded all of my, like, a lot of 3DS games and a lot of stuff to get, like, traded old games in to get a Switch, and a lot of that stuff held its value, and it's stuff that I was never going to use. I traded in a Wii U with a bunch of digital games that I bought on it, but I didn't get anything extra for that. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that they are making the same mistake as they did with the Wii U, and they are messing up the messaging.
I think the biggest
You
problem
know?
is the thing that I didn't like about the hands-on, the entire event, was it all just felt like everything that Nintendo has said for the last year and a half, like, we're dropping the Wii U branding, we're a changed company, we've got a younger generation of developers working on our games now, we're passing the mantle on. Everything that they're saying is that they're changing a lot. But honestly, if the Switch was called the Wii 3, I would not be surprised. Everything about it and their whole marketing thing and everything when we were at the event just felt very Wii-like. And this is the natural evolution of the Wii brand it's just a Wii U that's implemented better.
Well, if you walked around this event like in the way that it looked like it was laid out for you to do, the first 2 games that you saw were Mario Kart 8, which is the Wii U Mario Kart 8 with a couple extra things, and Splatoon 2. And yes, there's an added gun or something, but like
It's not much for a sequel.
You looked at that
they
game and
haven't
you're like,
changed
this is Splatoon. Like, this is the sequel? Cool. I wouldn't have been able to tell you if it was 1 or 2 if my life depended on it, which is a bad start. And then you go to ARMS, and people are loving ARMS, but
I don't understand it.
It's a punch.
It's a Wii game.
It's Wii
like-
boxing with a little bit more to it.
Everything at that event had like I think there was only maybe 1 or 2 games there like that were just the third-party games. Now I think about it, I can't think of a Nintendo game. There was one Nintendo game there, Zelda, that didn't have motion controls, and maybe it does.
Yeah.
And I just
Snipper
wasn't paying
Clips
Do you know what I
is
found?
sort of
quite,
Nintendo. I think it's Nintendo's publishing it. So
yeah, but they just,
and that's
they
awesome.
just
Do you know
bought
what
it
I
off
think
those
is quite
students.
telling? Everyone, like I had someone from one of the Nintendo fan groups write a piece for it because he went on the Sunday. Josh Joseph, he's a really cool guy. Loves his Nintendo, and he was there on the Sunday. And he kind of said what I feel a lot of hardcore diehard Nintendo fans are saying, in that they're going to buy it regardless of whether it's a piece of garbage or not because they love Nintendo. But what they're praising is not what Nintendo wants them to be praising.
No.
They're not praising the Joy-Con controllers and the motion control and 1-2 switch and arms. They're praising the portability of the console.
Yeah.
And for Nintendo to come out and say, no, it's not a handheld, it's a console, that's where I kind of feel like
They kind of have to say that because it's priced more than a console, though.
and-
Like,
But
and their
just come
messaging
back,
was
why
also-
not just say, why can't you just run with, this is a console that doubles as a handheld? That's
Right now-
what it is. Embrace it.
For the
because
same reasons
they
that they're
had to kill the 3DS.
the same reasons that they're still putting up ads for the Wii U and desperately trying to
No.
get people to buy that.
They are.
Oh,
They are
yeah,
right now.
they are
And the
until
same
this
reason,
launches.
the same reason they're saying it's a home console, but don't worry, the 3DS is still going to go for years and years and years and years. And as soon as the Switch comes out, the 3DS isn't going to go for
There's
years.
a, there's a
and years
big
and years.
difference between
They're
the Wii
trying
U
to
and 3DS,
elongate.
though.
Yeah, but they're just trying to elongate their
But
product.
once
I don't think they're
again,
even
it
trying with
ties
the Wii
in.
U. They've come out and said we're not publishing any more Nintendo games for Wii U.
Oh no,
This
they're
is it.
not.
The Wii
But
U's
there's still
dead.
their
This
ad spend
ties
on
in.
those like on Facebook ads as an example is crazy right
Well, they've
now.
got to get rid of the stock that they've got in stores somewhere or whatever,
Yeah.
and they've only got just over a month to do it before that's not going to happen anymore. 3DS is still going to have not like there was a 3DS game announced for like a Nintendo game, the Fire Emblem game announced a week ago after the Switch was announced. They're still going to because there's so many out there that's definitely not going anywhere until they test the waters and see how well the Switch does. That's their
Yeah.
backup.
Oh,
the Wii U
it's-
is dead
Oh, definitely. But
because this
they're not
is
going to
just
say that it's a
better Wii U.
3DS replacement because they want you to keep buying a 3DS.
Yes, exactly.
Just like they want you to keep buying a Wii U right now. The message will change.
Yeah, but
post-March.
they want you to buy a Wii U right now because shit, why not? Like, hey,
Well, they want you to buy a 3DS right now because
yep,
shit, why
they
not?
don't expect you to buy a Wii U right now, and they
True.
expect you to already own a 3DS, so they're making games for it. That's the difference.
I still think it's confusing, and I think that if people have a choice and say, am I going to invest in a new game for my 3DS or my Switch, they're going to go for their Switch. And at the same time, people are going to say, well, even though they're calling it a console, they're going to say, well, I own a Wii U, Zelda's coming to the Wii U, I've already got Mario Kart, I've got a 3DS, why do I want a Switch?
That's the thinking of the general consumer, which is not what I feel like that's not what they're targeting right now. Anyway, a launch with very little until like they already
Well,
announced
they're
what they're
aiming
doing
for
Christmas.
They're aiming for guys like Josh. That's their
exactly.
primary market.
It's
you know?
it's going to sell out to the hardcore Nintendo fans that are going to buy it anyway. So when they ask themselves, am I going to buy it? Am I going to buy a game for the Switch or am I going to buy it for the 3DS? Those people are going to buy both. Let's be honest. And more importantly, if you already own a Switch, you're in it straight away. Like you're probably going to buy any like the reason to own a Nintendo console, regardless of the blurry, is it a home console or a handheld, is for Nintendo's in-house games because it doesn't look like this is going to be the third party. You know, it's not going to have the same games as the Xbox or the PS4, obviously.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it remains to be seen, but I don't think so. This is just, you know, a console for Nintendo games like Mario and Zelda and whatever else.
I think it's got probably more potential as a third-party console than the Wii U did.
I think so too, but I think it's mostly because it'll sell better.
Yeah, of course. Probably closer, but yeah, it's not going to be.
Part of that is it's one screen. It's not two screens that you have to program for. They're still going to have to get around.
Like when you say
Specs.
third party, I think shovelware straight away. Like if this does even close to well,
This is going to be like
thinking-
Wii shovelware revisited with the Switch stuff.
If
I don't
that
think
happens, then
I don't think it'll be that
Rumble.
bad. I don't think it'll be that bad.
I don't think so either.
I think that
Times
they've
have changed.
really honed in on their certification process, and if I think for them, they would rather see games coming from indies and they'll loosen the shackles for certification from those devs than to say to like a 2K Games, yeah, all right, we need a Carnival Games on Switch. Like, no one's going to buy that. No one cares. We're not going to see that. Although they'll probably announce it next week.
They will.
Anyway.
And no one will buy, but that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, the most appealing thing for me is the portability of it. I think it's a great...
But around your house or around, like, the
everywhere,
world?
everywhere. I mean, the idea of playing a full open world 3D Mario sandbox game on the go at that quality, at that level, a full console game is like, you know...
For travel, this is for me as well. I'm thinking the same thing.
Yeah,
Like
I'm not thinking to play at home. I'm not thinking about it as a console. I'm thinking about it as a handheld that is probably 4 or 5 years ahead of where we thought handheld gaming could possibly be, from a major.
I think that's
manufacturer.
fair thing to say. I think I'll buy it for 90% of the time. It's just going to be. The thing that I play as a console at home on my TV to play Zelda or Mario or the newest, fingers crossed, Metroid or something like that. And I think I'll take it with me when I travel overseas, and that'll be great. But to be honest, there's really only one. There's so many different ways that you can play it, like so many different control setups, and there's really only one that I really like, and it's the Pro Controller. Everything else ranges from it's not bad to I'm never doing that, and I
I think the grip is a really solid controller.
It's not too bad.
When you've got the Joy-Cons on the tablet, it's fine as well.
Yeah.
If you're playing a really simple game like Bomberman,
the Pro Controller is safe. It's a safe console. It works.
Yeah.
That was always going to be the best controller you're going to have for any console.
Except shitty digital triggers.
I don't know. Yeah. And I mean, you could easily screw up the digital. Like, you look at the last one. It's pretty much the same. It's not quite the same quality. But all they did was they moved one of the sticks. Like, both of the sticks are up the top, and it just feels stupid. Like, it's, really unintuitive and really weird and hard to work your head around. It's like the, solve for X problem. Like, where the hell is the X on your controller? It's different on every single thing. I really hope that there's a fourth major, like, bring Sega or Atari or someone needs to bring out a console just so they can put X in that one spot where it isn't yet.
Hieroglyphics.
Yes. X and 12 and question mark.
I'm more excited, about taking, like, I'm going to be an idiot that buys $180 or whatever the hell it is, like, extra piece of plastic and have a dock in my lounge and a dock up in my office. And I'm going to be the guy who's most happy playing a Switch on the toilet. Let's be honest, that's what's going to happen. Or like on the couch if I'm watching tennis with my husband, because I can't actually be asked watching the tennis, but I want to make it look like we're having together time. And then when I get sick of it, I go upstairs, chuck it in that dock, play on the TV, take it back out, keep playing, go back downstairs, put it on the TV one again. Like, that's what I'm most excited about.
There are
Not
a lot
really
of
taking
people
it
out
out of the
there,
house.
Steve, who like want their own. Like, they don't want the dock; they just want it as a handheld. Like, given how expensive,
I know I'm weird.
Given how expensive the dock is, I'm not saying that because, like,
it's
have a bunch
stupid.
of docks in my
It's a
house
piece of plastic and an HDMI port and a
buy
charging cable.
Buy another Switch and sell it without the dock to someone else for slightly more. Like, did you see the Pro controllers on eBay?
No,
going for like $150 American?
I don't want to then.
Ridiculous.
That's
American?
Yes, American. Because they sold out in like 15 minutes. Anyway, I do really like that it as a handheld. It just feels like a big Vita, it's really cool. But I wasn't impressed with the controls because the stupid Joy-Cons. Again, it's also top heavy. When you're using like the buttons on the right stick that have got the buttons up the top and the stick underneath, I was moving the bottom joystick with the bottom of my thumb because it's all cramped together.
I guess that's what's
and
good about
it. And it doesn't have a D-pad either. Like,
because like the whole tabletop aspect of it is kind of part. When I say it, the portability of it is appealing. The ability to kind of use it if you don't like using it like a typical handheld in your hands, you can put it on the table, and if you're on a plane, you can put it on the table and on your.
If you're on a plane, you can even take the Pro controller with you and go
unless
for
you're
that.
in first class. Because I was just trying
Oh,
to think
no,
like how I was going to do that. Because I'm picturing my next international flight. I was thinking last night. Wait a minute. The last time I came back with my 3DS, I had to have it right in front of my face,
true.
or right down like below where.
You mean you don't fly first class?
I do not fly first class, Tano. Some of us will be fine, but like.
What are you pointing at me for? I've never flown first class. You kidding me? I did business class once.
I meant Tano.
Oh.
And you got there like you got upgraded, right?
I got upgraded once.
To sidetrack for a second.
Bumping the touchscreen with my nose. That's how close it was to my face. That's not good.
I mean,
Did you need to touch it at the time? Because that would have been helpful.
No,
Oh.
never. Every single time I had to stop and untouch or undo whatever the hell I did.
So I just said you could play the Switch on the table with your Pro Controller, but that's wrong. There's an airplane mode for the Switch, but I don't know enough about it. There's no way that an airplane person, air hostess, whatever we want to call them, would let you use like Bluetooth or whatever that's going to be. There's no way that let you use a wireless. No, but there's still signal between your controller
you
and
can
the Switch,
use-
and they'll freak out, won't they?
No, because you can use your tablet now these days.
Yeah, but you can't
for
use your phone and your iWatch and have them talk to each other. You have to put your phone on so that there's no communication.
yeah, maybe.
So if you put your phone on airplane, it won't tell your iWatch.
I don't
what
think
I mean?
the Pro Controller is going to be any good.
It might. Well,
But
I
that means
mean,
you couldn't even
it
take
was
the
in the
Joy-Con
ad.
off. You'd have to have
It was in the ad. Like they had the ad. That is actually really
Yeah, but
interesting.
Nintendo doesn't care. Like
Yeah,
they're
but
just
that-
showing
Well,
you the
that
concept.
is
Wasn't
like
a
that
real
is a
plane.
key. But no, but that is a key part of their marketing strategy to
Well, yeah.
say that you can take this on a plane.
That
play on
wasn't
the
a real
You'll be
plane. That
able
was a
to.
set. The
No,
one
no,
they
no.
used for Mythbusters.
But it
or
was a
something.
plane, Shane.
Yes, it was.
In my
But
logic,
those-
you'll be able to, but you'll have to put the Joy-Cons on the tablet and use it just in handheld mode.
Well, that's fake.
You know what I mean?
That's
So
fake. That
everything's
is
connected.
the definition of.
But I don't know if
false
that's true or
advertising.
not. But surely they'd be mad if there's something wirelessly
Damn it,
sending
Nintendo.
signals on a plane.
This laptop I
Get
usually
Nintendo
have
on the
on
phone.
You
the
can use
plane
Wi-Fi on
with
your
me.
phone.
It's tiny, and when I have it on the like table in front of me, it's basically like I have to look down so that my voice isn't talking into the microphone like this. It's like looking at my belly button and like my neck is becoming the Riddler. It's ridiculous.
I'm gonna ask Nintendo about that, but we don't know, so let's not speculate. Anything else about the Switch? Because
No,
I
I'm
feel
done.
like
I think
we're
I've
in circles.
said so much about this console
Well,
recently.
Snipper Clips
I-
is the best. You should get Snipper Clips, $30.
Yeah, Snipper Clips is really cool. I don't
I'm
know.
scared that
Can
I've
you
played
use
most
it-
of Snipper Clips though.
Anything that you can do in like tabletop mode, can you do on the TV?
What do you mean?
Like I don't know why that's. It feels
there
like a
anything that
stupid question, but like, can
that
you?
differentiates the way that
Tabletop
like,
mode was awful because Tono and I played Mario Kart in tabletop mode with
Yeah.
a Joy-Con each, and like I
Yeah,
felt like
it's awful.
to see the screen, I was leaning in so far that Tono couldn't see past my head.
That's what I'm saying. But Snipper Clips is a great game.
Is that why I
we've
beat
both
you?
been talking about. But
Yeah.
I don't want to play that like that. I'd like to play it on a
No,
television
on a
because
TV.
I'm not a homeless.
Yeah, but
person.
at least like, but the good thing about that is you don't have
what
to
I'm
go and
saying
buy
is, can
extra
you?
control. Yeah, yeah. What do you mean? Yes,
I don't know. Like
you
they
can play
showed it
Snipper
like
Clips
that
on
for
the
some
TV
reason.
and on your screen.
Okay.
Definitely.
But they've just
Um,
never.
and-
They've
and-
just. You're just assuming that, or like.
No, because anything that you can play on the tablet, you can dock and it just goes.
But
to
that's
the
that
TV.
was my question.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So the thing I like about that at least is you don't have to buy 8 million controllers. If there's two people you want to play Snipper Clips, you have 2 Joy-Cons, and that's such a simple game. There's so little control to it. You don't need a Pro controller or something. Like you have 2 shoulder buttons to spin your guy. You have a jump and a squat,
It
and you're
was
done.
tolerable for that.
Bomberman was fine with the Joy-Con, but like I don't
No.
think I would play Super
I
Mario
wouldn't-
Kart.
You're not going to have any friends left if you hand them this half a muesli bar. Like,
Yeah.
and it's not even like that's.
Well, you will.
that's
Those are,
I'm
as Ben said,
trademarking
those
that,
are your
by the
least
way,
friendly friends, the ones that you don't really care about. Like,
yeah,
you know,
they're awful, and like it's a shame because you've got all those Wii like add-ons that are basically the same that won't work with this anymore. Or a lot of people will have them.
just finally, before we move on,
Our final thought for the day. Go on, Jerry.
one thing I think is quite striking is that like we saw our friend Vuk on Twitter the other day, and I hate to call him out for this,
but you are.
He started a poll asking, what was it? What size SD card are you going to buy? And my response was, I can't believe that this is an actual question for a console. Like, it's ridiculous that a point of discussion is
What's a like?
what
Look at the
size.
Vita though.
No,
That's
but it's
unusable without like a.
No, but the Vita is a handheld,
but-
and
yeah.
like I can understand it for a handheld, but because obviously storage is going to be limited, this is a home console that you're going to have.
But
I mean, how can
it's
you?
a home console or a handheld.
My God.
Whatever is the worst option, Nintendo will say that's what we are for this. When it comes to price, it'll be worse if you're a home console. We're a home console.
It goes beyond
when
that.
it comes for all of that other stuff, like you're definitely going to need to buy an SD card. Oh yeah, because it's a portable.
It goes beyond that. It's if you're arguing something that's a home console feature that doesn't have, it's a handheld.
Yeah.
And if you're asking about handheld features, it's a home console.
Exactly.
What they need to do, at least to be competitive with anybody else in the current market, is have the ability to connect a portable hard drive to
the
your dock
Yeah.
and some sort of amazing system that you tell it, and
So
you
can,
know that
like,
you have to
hotspot
wait
what games are
10 or 15 minutes or something before you leave the house. Like, I want Zelda and all my saves. It takes everything out of your Switch, puts it on the hard drive, grabs your Zelda, puts it on the... You know what I mean?
Makes the effortless, super quick switching a 15-minute thing. Like, but I totally agree.
That's better
Totally
management
agree.
to me than having 15 micro SD cards or 15 cartridges that I don't want to have bouncing around in my bag. But yeah,
Steve,
they're not going to do
look
it.
after your things. I'm telling you, get yourself a case for your
Well, I'm going to have to for my Switch, but my 3DS doesn't have a case because it closes. Done.
Yeah, well,
I don't
that's
care about the outside. I
clamshell
want the
thing.
screen to be okay. And this is screen on one side. Holy screen. So... And the Joy-Con controllers stick out, so that's the thing as well. Like my Vita, I've screwed my Vita thumbsticks as well because I don't have a case for my Vita. I just chuck it in my bag. I have a screen protector, but I did half the job.
Well, look, I wasn't gonna pre-order one because it was way too much, and I didn't see the need for it. And then I realized I hate my Wii U, and I want that filthy thing out of my house. So I got rid of it and a bunch of other stuff, and that paid off my Switch easily. So
Great.
So I got mine.
Nice. Moving on.
Talk about the other one. Mm-hmm.
So I've pre-ordered a Switch. You've pre-ordered a Switch. Tano has not pre-ordered a Switch. Is that right?
That is correct.
Bam. Okay. Done. Next.
Go on, Steve. Go on.
No, because I don't know what I'm going to say because I want to say a whole bunch and I can't. Resident Evil 7 is amazing. You should go buy it. Bam.
Is
I'm
it
done.
really amazing though?
I've played it 8 times now. I'm almost done my Madhouse playthrough.
I've
8.
played. Oh, really? So that's
But-
that's ridiculous.
But a lot of that was to do guides and stuff early. And then once I almost had all the trophies and I had my Xbox copy unlocked, I'm like, well, I got to do all the achievements.
Well, have
for
you
this.
got
Oh,
the
you're
have you got
playing
the
on two
speed
different-
run?
right.
Have you got the speed run?
And I have to
one
keep
yet?
playing on PlayStation. Oh, yeah, I did ages ago. I have to keep playing on PlayStation because the DLC comes out a week earlier on PlayStation. So if I want to do any like guides for the website, I got to play it on PlayStation and Xbox again.
That's not how it works.
What a
So
shame. I love
Destiny
this game.
for you, Steve.
This game is amazing. This game reminds me of when I was 12 or however old I was.
a young warthog.
Playing like Resident Evil 1 and 2 at my friend's house in his basement, just like so captivated by it. I'm in exactly the same mindset. I love it. And you're stuck on the first bit, I think.
I'm not stuck anywhere.
Not stuck, you're playing the first bit.
I'm playing the first bit.
It's very like torture porny for the first 20,
Tano,
30 minutes.
Tell me what you told me before about this.
It's just it's not my sort of game. Like I've played close to 2 hours and
Oh, okay.
I'm not enjoying it. That's not to say that objectively I think it's a bad game. I think it looks great, the presentation's superb, the gameplay's great. I can see why people would love it. It's just not my kind of game. I can't.
Yeah.
If I gotten it early, I would have finished it, but I wasn't given an opportunity to review it. So for me,
Did you play the...
no.
I think if you're not sure if you're in that boat, if you're in Tano's boat, play the demo because the demo, whilst different enough, gives you a pretty good idea of what you're going to be in for. And some people just don't want to do that.
It's very kind of condemned for me. It reminds me of that first person kind of horror. And like you were saying downstairs, Sean, I called it survival horror. It's not really survival horror.
It's not.
just
It's a
straight up
horror
horror.
game.
And that's what Condemned was. It was kind of like this mixture of, you didn't really get a lot of weapons, but you did. And when you got the weapons, they were powerful, but then you had to kind of preserve, everything that you had and all your ammo and stuff. So
Well, that's kind of
Madhouse-
survival-y, actually, now that you say that.
Madhouse mode is very survival horror-esque.
Yeah, because they bring back all the Resident Evil tropes.
Yeah,
But-
well, that's good. If
That
there's
is
any
good.
time to bring out Resident Evil tropes, it's in Resident Evil.
Yeah.
There you go.
It would be good. You should be able to start with that to be nice.
Well,
Here's the thing: is I'm in the exact same boat as Tano, though.
Really?
I'm a massive fan of Resident Evil. This is not my type of game. This is not a game for me. And if it didn't have the name Resident Evil on it, I wouldn't play it.
So what though isn't for you?
It's like everything about it that's really new. Like I honestly, I want to say this first is I think it's way better than Resident Evil 6
Well, that's
and
not hard
5.
to. That's not hard to
Not
do.
at all, but I think it's definitely a step in the right direction for the series. I'm glad they did something like this.
Yeah.
But it's only the only things that make it feel like a Resident Evil to me are the fact that you've got to get like a snake key and like you've got to all the backtracking and the silly stuff like that, and the fact that it's slow and hard to control. Other than that, it's not Resident Evil. It's just like a horror game. It feels more like Outlast or like it's
really?
it's too. It focuses way more on gore than just like scary horror sort of stuff. Like horror has changed a lot in the last 15 years. You watch any horror movie now, and there are guts and blood and bullshit and like the most gory shit you'll ever see. And every time I see that, I just go, "What the hell is like Saw?"
Yeah.
You know, like
It's very
Shock.
Texas Chainsaw
Well,
Massacre.
even like Evil,
this
the
feels
most
more
recent
like
Evil Dead
Texas
as well.
Chainsaw Massacre than Resident Evil at like by a lot. Like the first couple of hours, I was like, "What the hell? This is just Texas Chainsaw
I
Massacre."
think
because
that-
of the family. And
I
stuff.
think yeah. Once you kind of get maybe halfway, it so like Resident Evil's to me because it gives you all these different places to go, and that and the Louisiana bit.
That's weird.
I'm trying to like not ruin anything. The Baker stuff. There's other stuff beyond that, and the other stuff that
I've played 90% of it. And I don't know.
is
What
reminiscent
you're
of like Revelations
Yeah.
and
See, like
the Gun
it
Survivor
doesn't feel
games.
like it doesn't feel like there's even really enemies in the game until, after the first couple of hours or whatever. Or there's a couple,
Yeah.
but not really.
Because it's setting
Maybe
up all
only-
the Baker stuff first,
I don't know what you mean by Baker stuff.
like the family of Bakers.
Is that their names?
Yes,
Okay, so I didn't know that.
the family Baker. Yeah,
Yeah, that's what ruins it for me. There's so many times that you come across the same enemies like in this family, and they're just like, what do I do in this room? Do I bother shoot? Like you can't figure out like, am I just trying to waste time here, or do I have to shoot him a certain amount of times, or do I have to get him to a certain area for the cutscene to trigger? Am I wasting my precious ammo? Or like, there's one part like, oh shit, I know I've got to go back to a room and get something because I left something in there because I ran like
away from the.
I ran away
something.
because I was scared of something in that particular room, and I like noticed it on my way out, and I know I have to go back, and I don't want to go back because I know there's something in there that like I can't even kill. I just have to avoid or
See,
get in quick.
That
and, like,
to me is what I wanted. That's when I was a kid. What I thought Nemesis was like.
yeah,
and
but
then the
there was
older I
also
got-
other bad guys in Nemesis.
Yeah, but
This
the
is
older
like
I got,
Nemesis
it was
90% of the time.
Nemesis will chase you down a hallway, and then if you go in that doorway, you're fine. And then you can't go through that door, except for the one time he did. Or like this
We bust
to
through the
me.
wall.
So I love that tension of Nemesis, but the older I got, the more I just kind of knew like, oh, that's this code, and that would do this. And this, I can playing it for the 8th time, I can kind of see that already in Resident Evil 7. But I think that what you were just describing to me is awesome and like comes full circle.
think
and
there's
it's
too
like
much
that
of
whole
it.
tension-filled thing. It's tension horror. That's not a really genre thing that I've
I
made
don't
up,
know.
but
I don't know.
I like
think
that
the,
kind
the
of stuff
first
with it.
person thing kind of kills it for me. But like I understand that, like because it's more. This wants to be more about horror than anything else. I don't think Resident Evil has ever even been close to as scary as this game. Maybe
Yeah.
not on the 8th playthrough. It's terrifying. Like
No.
literally like
Stuff keeps happening to me that
well,
hasn't
I don't know. I
happened before.
said literally terrifying. I hate myself for that. I'm just pointing that out. You suck, Shane. Anyway, there's never been Resident Evil has never been first person. Obviously, this is first person because lots of games are first person. It has to be first person for VR. I don't like that. It's done that because to me VR is still just a gimmick, and I couldn't care less about VR. I hate that although it's slow and clumsy intentionally because that's Resident Evil, it feels unfair because you're in first person and you feel like what are you doing, man? Like I could walk faster than your run speed for long. Like all you got to do is just move, and he doesn't. And you've got boss fights in the tiniest little areas because you can't move at all. So it doesn't matter that this area is like ridiculously small, you're too slow to really. I don't know. I just found it a little bit frustrating. I'm talking about the chainsaw thing.
Yeah,
was
I know,
just
I know.
awful. I hated that.
That was awesome.
Like,
Try,
no,
no, it was
no,
good.
no way. How many times did you do it the first time?
Not that often. Not that many. I died once, and then as soon as I touched the ladder, I ran all the way back into the room, and then I just ran around that entire upstairs floor.
Nah.
No, you're talking about something different.
The
We're
chainsaw bit. Oh, the
Yeah.
other chainsaw bit. Oh, I just kept kicking corpses at him.
Because you played the demo, right? That's
Yeah.
what you said to me. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
but
I don't know.
upstairs there's a corpse bag before you grab the thing, and you have an action prompt on it, and he kicks it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's like the VHS tapes. Like I think it does a really good job of. That's a new thing to the series, and I really like it. I don't know how they're going to keep doing that though. It seems like a gimmick that they can't send into 8 because that makes no sense. But the tapes give you the hint of what you
Tapes
should be
were
doing.
really cool.
And
The
that bag is like a tape to me.
When I spoke to you and you hadn't done a particular tape, and it kind of,
Oh, I completely sidestepped a puzzle because I
Right.
happened to guess it.
I think that was my favorite thing about it, and
Yeah.
again is
That
like
videotape was
it's
neat.
got nothing to do with Resident Evil. It's just Saw. Like, how good is Saw for a movie? That was crazy. But this is, you know what I mean? Like, there's so many things. Like, I really like a lot of it, and I like the fact that like it's, you know. It does feel a lot like Resident Evil, but there are so many things about it that don't feel Resident Evil like at all, and I really hate that. Like, I really don't like it.
If you have 10% left, I think the last 10%, it does the very Resident Evil thing of there's a lot of files at the end that fill in some gaps. And to me, that answered a lot of questions that I had at that point that married events. Like
I'm going to ask you a
all the
question
files
when we
went
finish
through-
this,
okay.
because I'm not comfortable.
As in
asking it,
through the franchise.
I'm not going to ruin anything.
No, I know.
Stuff that I read at the very end explained things that were happening.
Cool.
Maybe not to the point where I was completely satisfied with it, but at least it was aware
Given that
the
it's
questions
pretty,
existed.
it's kind of short anyway.
I'm talking
it's
so vaguely.
around,
it's
like
pointless.
8 hours-ish, 8-9 hours. Is that fair?
Took me about 10 hours first time, yeah.
First time? Okay, cool. Because I'm at about 8.5 hours, I think.
Yeah. You can ask me the question after.
I will.
We're not going to spoil anything for people.
Given that it's kind of a short game like that, well, I don't know if that's short. Like that's a decent chunk of game.
It took
I
me
don't-
3.5 hours to finish it the next time.
Yeah. Well,
How
that's
what?
Classic Resident Evil.
3.5 hours.
Oh, okay.
But like that was me just
You know
like
where
running
everything
past
is,
everything
and in a
getting
Resident
the
Evil
things
game,
and-
you're not even supposed to shoot most stuff. You're supposed to
Yeah,
avoid everything.
supposed to run.
Anyway, I think the fact that you don't find out anything really until the end, that's not too bad considering it's a sort of short game.
Yeah. Well, and it's the writer of the. If you look and see who wrote the game, and you go through the story, that writer seems to have ripped off his story from previous works. So it's weird. I don't want to say who it is or what the game is because that'll give too much away as well. But
that's the thing about it. Like, there's so many things about it that like. I just feel like it's not very resonant. Like,
but Capcom has fucked up this. Sorry, Capcom has screwed up this franchise so badly. I think it was a really smart idea to get a Western influence to try to take it somewhere else. And you know, like there's
to Texas
nods
for a
towards
chainsaw
to Louisiana.
massacre.
You know, there's stuff that feeds back into the main franchise, and hopefully it makes sense because right now it's kind of mysterious and weird, and the DLC is going to answer some of those questions,
That's
which I
bullshit.
hate, by the way.
Yeah.
But I think it's like 4 in that it's definitely changed the franchise. We're not sure yet if it's
I'll never
good
forgive
or
4
bad.
for that.
Well, 4
Ever.
4 everybody liked it, and then 5
but it's-
made it worse, and
No,
6
but
made it horrible.
Do you know what? If 4 is not 4, 4 is a brilliant game. The problem is that it was so good that Capcom went to great lengths to try and recreate that brilliance by adding,
everything?
you know,
Everything,
co-op.
literally
You know,
everything.
RE5 is one of the greatest co-op games of the past 20 years.
That was cool.
right,
But
but
it wasn't-
it's
The problem is,
But it didn't need to be a
the
co-op.
title on Resident Evil 4. The fact that I've said this 100 times. The fact that it's called Resident Evil is not for me. Like,
What
it's
a great segue into Prey.
to pray. All right.
We're just gonna get angry.
Yeah.
Do you want to finish that thought though before I take it? But
No, it's
before I lay that segue
the
down?
same as like Devil May Cry started as a Resident Evil game, and it's not Resident Evil. Like,
yeah.
like Resident Evil 4 is not a Resident. They shouldn't have called it Resident Evil because it was a total change of formula. You're just some dude who had similar hair to Leon. They gave him the name Leon, and he went off to save the president's daughter, just like in every other Resident. Wait a minute, no, that's fucking ridiculous.
The thing I think that would work really well maybe is that, and you might hate this because that's the core now. So like 7 becomes first person things. Revelations is kind of the horrific version of 4 playing out. And they're doing like remake and stuff for at least Resident Evil 2.
Yeah,
I wouldn't mind seeing RE2 remake in first person, but that's just me.
Yeah.
But like they could have.
It's not the fact that it's first person that.
Well,
that
no,
I
but
don't
like you know what I mean, like the formula that you're talking
It's
about. I'm
everything
trying to
else that comes
oversimplify
with it, yeah.
So they could have like 3. Capcom is trying to make money off Resident Evil, and they, you know, as we know with releasing RE4 about 50,000 times, they'll milk this thing until the cows come home. So as long as they do it in a concentrated way and not too ridiculous, and have maybe like some first person or some fixed angle stuff that, you know, the purists want, the kind of revelation-y
The thing that I want more than anything else, which I can't believe I haven't said yet, my biggest issue with it is that it's not corny, B grade. Like there was no Jill sandwiches. There was one line in the whole thing, which I heard like 3 times, because I kept dying before it, that I thought could possibly classify as like a corny B grade thing because it's a nod to Evil Dead. And other than that, there was nothing in there. That was good, but that was it. That was all. I wanted it. Resident Evil's going to be. It's going to be. This is too good. It's going to be a bit shitter than this. That's my problem with it. It's going to be corny.
It's all Capcom has. It's all they have. Not really, but they're going to make a lot of money off this, and they're going to do some stupid things as a result.
Sales have already been like they've gotten rough projections, like
really?
7 million or something.
It's doing well, which is great.
Millions.
Oh,
of
I thought you
units.
meant the other way around. I was going to say I thought this was huge.
Yeah.
You said when you said rough projections, right?
Oh, not rough.
It's like
projections,
these projections. It's looking rough, guys.
Oh
totally,
no!
early
Like
projections.
approximate,
Yeah,
early.
yes.
Yes. Sorry.
Thank you. Sorry, English isn't my first
But
language.
like, so as much as I'm like, oh, this was great. I hope Capcom do the right thing. They've made all this DLC. If you read the DLC descriptions, like in this wacky, hilarious.
When's the first one come out? Isn't it
next week?
Next week, 28th, isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah. So this tomorrow.
Yeah. Is it? No way.
28th.
Already? Wow.
That's ridiculous.
28th.
So
and then-
do that.
But it's like a
Can't
horde
do that.
mode, or is that in the second one?
How much is this game?
There's a horde mode and there's 2 extra tapes, and then in the second bit of DLC, it's like the season pass is $40. I
In
think.
February.
No, how much is it? Just a full price normal
$10
game,
for
though?
the first
Well, it's
DLC.
like $110.
$15 for the second DLC, or $40
Bullshit.
for the pack. And that can't be right. I'm missing something. But anyway,
Yeah.
that's $40 Australian. And the other prices were American. The second banned footage DLC pack has a wacky comedic game where you feed Jack Baker. I'm like, what? No. Oh, okay. So maybe that's your weird, corny shit. That
Yeah.
just sounds awful to me, though. We'll see.
It sounds like this is a full price game with like. Is there any when you finish it? Is there any like extra modes or anything that you can do other
You get
than
Madhouse.
not difficulty settings.
No, that's it.
That's it.
But Madhouse is also like rearrange mode and stuff as well.
And there's
So
infinite ammo
there's
and stuff.
there's different antique coins. That's when you finish
Finish
Madhouse.
Yeah,
Madhouse.
that's a.
But I like
that's
that.
the bare minimum.
Yeah.
No, but that's a different mode. Like,
But I'm really happy
You're
that-
playing a game with infinite ammo. I mean, that's a totally different.
We're
game mode.
complaining.
Come on.
We're
I'm
complaining.
talking
that
about the fact
Capcom-
that it always comes with like
Yeah.
the mercenaries
Yeah,
or
yeah,
like
yeah.
other
Okay.
actual things, right? The
Yeah,
fact that
well, that's
its
coming in
first
DLC.
comes out in the first week and a half to add these things that are generally come with it is like
Yeah,
There's a
but
whole
like
other side of it.
the problem that I have with Capcom is that they introduced RE4 and did Mercenaries, and then did this, and then they had all these extra stupid modes, all these
Mercenaries was
arcadey
from-
things. RE5, yeah, but like I'm just using RE4
yeah,
as the
yeah.
example.
Right.
RE5 introduced a couple different things. RE6 had RE5 had like versus modes and multiplayer and all this stuff, and like the more crap they added, the shittier it got.
No,
So
that was the
fact that
better
they're-
part of it,
No,
though.
that
It
awful.
was.
The fact
Mercenaries
that-
on well, maybe it was 6 was the best part of the game.
Well, yeah,
6
but that was
shit.
6. There's not a lot. They had 18 campaigns and all that.
Well,
Like
by
the
then,
problem with
Mercenaries
Capcom-
was the franchise.
Well, so they added so much crap. I'm really, really happy that they just dropped everything, focused on a single player campaign, put everything they had into it, regardless of what you think of it, like what they did, like I'm just really happy they had a really like narrow, laser thin focus.
Yeah,
And did really good.
that is true.
Things
for
with
a
that.
week and a half, and then like
I'm
all
not
this
ha-
other
I'm not
shit.
defending
all,
the DLC.
all the only difference here, Steve, is they didn't package that stuff in for free with their laser focus.
Well-
they've done all of this, and they're gonna make you pay again.
To their credit, I'm not defending the DLC, but the one piece of DLC which seems like it actually does matter to the single player story stuff is the free DLC that they're giving out. So
Okay.
So it's called Not a Hero. I don't want to talk about it because reasons. But it's like that one's at least free, and it seems like it has a lot to do with the questions that you're going to have when you finish. Ta-da.
All right.
All right, you want to talk about Prey? Release date in May. Bam.
May 5th, wasn't it?
That seems right.
Yeah, around
May
there.
the 5th be with Prey.
How did I not know?
May 21?
It's Revenge of the 5th, you fool.
No, but I'm just being a smartass.
Yeah,
Something
it's
like
May
that.
the 4th and Revenge of the 5th.
Yeah.
Anyway, doesn't matter.
But Revenge of the 5th doesn't have any... Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, so Prey, that's coming earlier than we thought it would be, and yeah, it should be good.
I'm
James
I'm
checked it
really,
out.
really excited for it. Like
Did you talk about it already?
Yeah.
No, I don't think I've ever talked about it on the podcast before. I don't think I've been on a
Have you?
podcast
All right.
until 2 weeks ago.
Well, then, let's go. Quick.
Prey's gonna be good. No, I went to Texas. When was this? Like September or something?
When we were at PAX.
So PAX, so
October.
early November.
November.
Yeah, so I was way off. Anyway, so I went to Arcane in Austin and got a good look at Prey. It's going to be really cool. Like, it looks like I don't know. There's a lot of things about it that I wasn't expecting. Like, I just played like a couple of weeks before Dishonored for the first time. And while I thought it was okay, I was like, what's with... Oh, I don't understand the hype for this whole thing. And this was just before... Well, Dishonored 2 came out while I was there, which was really weird. But that's their, like, Montreal studio. The Texas one is just purely Prey.
Prey and Dishonored look completely different.
Very
Because
different.
one is in space.
But, like, it actually does look really, really different. Like, I'm interested in this, whereas Dishonored was like, yeah, I could take it or leave it.
Because it's not in space. And I know your space rule.
Well, if it's science fiction, it's 11 out of 10. Okay, so
Yeah.
I'm not allowed to review this
No.
because we don't have a score system that
Oh, yeah,
allows me
good
to
point.
give it an 11.
Good point.
Anything science fiction is automatically lowest 11. But no, it looks really cool because of the creative ways that you can do absolutely anything in it. So like picture Skyrim in space, and your magic can interact with other bits of magic and stuff, but more like in technology and alien sort of powers. So like you can do crazy stuff. Like one of the better examples is at the was it not? I always say BlizzCon, but it wasn't BlizzCon. What was the other thing? QuakeCon. That's the one, because that's Bethesda. So that makes sense. Anyway,
that is true.
So you can throw these little grenades that are like recycle bombs, which is really cool because there's like 3D printers all around the ship, and you can craft basically anything that you get the schematics for, but you need like raw matter to do it. So you can throw these little bombs, and they make like a tiny little black hole, and then suck everything in, and it clears everything out of the way, and then that gives you like the raw materials that you need. But you can also mimic pretty much anything, which is insane. So you can there's a clip where they're trying to sneak past some evil robots, which is a lovely sci-fi trope. Throws a grenade on the ground, and then the person mimics that, and then they turn into the little grenade, and then they sort of turn around and look behind themselves and throw like a telekinetic sort of blast bomb kind of thing, and they react to that, and they get blown up onto the second level above where the robots are, and then they turn back into a person, and off they go on their merry way, because you can just do so many crazy little things.
It's going to be one of those games where I'm not creative enough to do anything like that. Yes.
But
It actually sounds surprisingly quite a bit like the original Prey then, because they've taken obviously some elements of it, because the first game had a lot to do with like portals and stuff like that. And you could kind of do the same thing with the world and take the place of...
in the sense that it's in space and there's physics, yeah. But I think
physics is everywhere.
yes.
So is space.
Yes, That's my point, Tano. That's the point I was making. That it's not really much like the first one. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's really going to matter, Steve, if you're not
Creative.
if you're worried about not being creative and stuff, because like I'm not going to be creative enough to find most of these things either. In every situation where you need to think of something to sort of, get through a door, or they put in 2 or 3 obvious different ways you can do it, and depending on how you've built your character, it's going to be clear, like, I can do this to get by. But when you're doing it, you'll probably think, I might even be able to do this to get past that door also. But where all the crazy stuff is going to come from is on the internet after, when you see, like, GIFs of people doing ridiculous shit that nobody ever thought of, because that's basically... Because I got to speak to, like, the developers, mostly interviews and stuff while I was there, and that was the big thing that they kept sort of pushing, was, like, that it's surprising how often one of them will come up with something and then everyone's like, shit, we have to change all this stuff, like, because that's going to change how the game plays. And every time they do testing, one of the testers will send back, like, I think this is a bug, or this is happening, and they're all just like, holy shit, we didn't realize you could do this. We'll keep it all in, but we need to try and sort of manage how this is going to be in the final build. So, yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. It comes out in May. We'll probably have a chance to see it again before that.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else? Do you want to talk about For Honor really quickly? 'Cause I gotta go soon.
Look, I played it today. I tried to play it for a bit. It's the first time I've actually touched it, because like Ben and MMGN, I think played it, and then you've seen it a couple of times.
I've seen it like 3 times.
I played 5 matches. I didn't get through any of them because the servers kept crashing, but I really, really like just the general flow of it, and the character classes and the variety there, and how like a match kind of plays out. I think the UI still needs a bit of work. I mean, that's a typical Ubisoft issue.
But so are servers.
Yeah.
Day 1 or beta.
Yeah, true. But yeah, it should be fun. Be fun.
Oh, it's when because I've always played it in controlled environments, not on the internet. So it's really rock paper scissors combat. You're guarding up left or right, and you hit someone from up or right. So if you're not at the same thing, whoever's attacking wins. And different samurai, Viking stuff. Obviously, that's different, but that's not really the difference. The difference in those factions are the different builds. So if you got like a big hulking dude, a really fast light sprite dude. So it's the meta on it's going to be interesting as long as we can have a network that will allow it to happen, which we'll get there. It's only the first day of the beta though today, as we're recording this, so they've got time to tweak it. And I guess really the beta isn't about the gameplay, well, hopefully so much.
It seems pretty
tight.
Like it seems pretty...
They should be fixing the problems that they're having right now, hopefully.
One thing we forgot to speak about before we finish up, Wildlands.
It was like not good in multiplayer because we were playing with GameSpot and we were dysfunctional.
I actually really enjoyed my time playing it because it brought me back to GRAW, Advanced Warfighter. Reason being because Future Soldier, which was the most recent Ghost Recon, was a game that kind of really did away with that focus on kind of team-based strategic tactical action, which is what Ghost Recon is all about. And you need to kind of guide your team, and whether you're playing multiplayer or you're playing solo play was really important in GRAW as well. But Future Soldier kind of did away with that and kind of had a streamlined, individualistic experience. And they've kind of gone back with Wildlands, obviously because they're trying to go for the cooperative open world experience. Like you said, it was a bit of a mess because the people we were playing with, they're really nice people, but they didn't help us out much.
We were dysfunctional. We were collectively dysfunctional.
You didn't have that amazing connection like they did in the reveal, like in every like...
Do you know what?
Like,
if
come on, Johnny, we're gonna. Oh, I'll
but
see you after work.
I think that's the beauty of it, though, because, like the idea was like we had a target and they were kind of hidden behind some rocks, and we were spawning on the main road, and we kept making the same mistake in that Like, I would say, okay, I'm going to mark the enemies. You're going to go sniper.
Yeah.
And the two of you are going to flank around the other side. But because we were staying so close to the main road, the government faction could see us because we were, like, basically in their line of sight. And they were watching over this target that we were also trying to kidnap. So then they would come flying in and attack us and then infiltrate. And we kept falling for the same problem.
And we got around that, and we were marking targets. Then someone accidentally got a truck to, like, you know, do the escape at the end, and, like, ran over the target one time, or headshot the target by accident. We pulled it together pretty quickly. But, like, if you have 4 friends and you've played Rainbow Six or something, you're gonna smash this, because you can basically set up the same kind of thing. Like, you take checkpoint Alpha, I'm gonna go over here, like, flank, left, right, Alpha, Charlie, Delta, and, you know, like
Alpha Betrium.
If you like realistic, that kind of, like, tactical based stuff,
very
you're gonna
similar.
love this.
It's
Wait, was this against AI or against other
AI?
people?
Yeah. We were
And
just
then I like solo play because kind of like, I don't know if you guys played Advanced Warfighter, but that was like one of my favorite games on 360. I played the first one.
No, I thought you meant Advance Wars on the Nintendo Game Boy Advance.
No.
Advanced
Did you play
Warfighter.
that?
Tool around, though.
Oh, there you go.
It was really fun to tool around.
Sorry?
It was fun to tool around.
Yes.
In that and this.
And I just like, and even like Rainbow Six Vegas, which is one of my favorite shooters of all time, just kind of being able to control really smart, competent AI, which is kind of rare in games like this, but they follow your directions and it's pretty simple, and you actually can't succeed without your squad mates. You can't succeed without them. So if you stuff up those directives, then you're going to die and you're going to kill your teammates, and then you've basically got to start again. And Future Soldier wasn't good in that sense, and it kind of, I feel like that with Patriots, because it was going to be Ghost Recon Patriots, and then they cancelled that.
Yeah.
And I feel that the reason they cancelled it was because it was going to be too much like Future Soldier, and they thought, no, we've got to go back to what makes Ghost Recon good, and that is squad-based gameplay. And I'm seeing it with Wildlands, so yeah, I'm pretty excited. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Nice.
A lot of fun. Sorry. That's my story.
That's the story. That's him hitting the phone into the table. This
Days
is
of our
me
lives.
being, like, really needing to go. So how's that for a conclusion to this thrilling podcast?
Yeah, that will conclude it if that's what we're going to do.
Join us next time when we don't know when that is, and we'll talk to you later.
Bye.